Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Donald Trump is on frickin' fire, and of course, what does that mean? Well, it very simply means that the left is frickin' seething. It's so frickin' obvious, isn't it? They're so incredibly desperate, they're clamoring for something to hold on to, something to be able to use as a counter to what's currently going on, but it just isn't landing. Trump recently gave his RNC speech, which I thought was pretty good. I sat there listening to the whole thing. Was it the greatest speech I've ever heard? No, probably not. But for Pete's sakes, let's cut the guy some slack. He was just shot at a couple days ago. I mean, let him recover. But anyways, I listened to his RNC speech and I thought instantly, it feels like this race is over. Donald Trump felt poised, calm, he delivered his message, and then moved on. You know, it felt almost as if instantly we were back to normal, which is pretty impressive considering what just happened. But according to leftoids all over Twitter, it was the worst speech ever given by any presidential nominee of any party. Joe Biden's campaign literally tweeted that, experts had graded Trump's nomination speech as the worst in American history. Joy Reid said this:
if Joe Biden had given a rambling, shambling, all over the place speech like that, elected Democrats would be demanding that the 25th Amendment be invoked immediately. They would scramble, even worse than they are now, to jettison him as the candidate for president, and we would be questioning his mental acuity.
Apparently a speech so bad that had Joe Biden given that speech, that Democrats would demand the 25th Amendment be used. Okay. Now come on. This coming from Democrats who have been saying this for the last couple of years.
President Biden is absolutely fit.
He has knowledge of the issues. He has strategic thinking about legislating. All in the head.
I have spoken with the president. He is fully coherent. He is on top of detail.
While Joe Biden was giving speeches like this.
All this drop-off that took place. There's so much of my narrative, my campaign is falling apart, they say. And the AR-15 was used in the shooting of Donald Trump. Just as it was an assault weapon that killed so many others, including children. It's time to outlaw them.
I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not going to get in the mud with these Democrats debating this idea. It is clearly evident to pretty much everybody just how desperate they are to paint Donald Trump as weak, incompetent, and ineffective. But unfortunately for them, essentially a week after his close brush with death, it seems as though Donald Trump is back in action and just as good, if not better than ever before. The left is trying to promote this narrative that Trump is no longer in his glory days, and that the RNC speech is pretty much proof of that. But I'd say his most recent rally pretty much puts all that to bed. The left is coping and seething. Let me show you guys exactly what I mean by that, as Donald Trump hosts a fiery, viral event in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Again, they tried knocking him down, but he just keeps on getting back stronger than ever before. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so you heard it. You heard the narrative, supposedly. Donald Trump is doing so bad at these events that the 25th Amendment should be called to use against him, or rather he should drop out of the race. Can't exactly use the 25th Amendment against somebody who isn't president, but you get what I mean. That's what they're saying. Well, let's juxtapose that with reality.
We will never stop working to deliver a magnificent future for our people, and together we will fight, right? And we will win. I like this place. You ever walk in to a place and you say, I sort of like this place. And, they'll probably be made in China because China has all of that material. Oh, there's the guy that I stood up here. Are you the same guy, the same muscles? Look at that guy. Are you the same guy? Yes? No kidding. It's pretty good memory, right? Unlike somebody else that I happen to be running against. He's a serious union guy, a United Auto Workers. You look at him get over there. It's okay. He does not carry guns. He's not, come on up here. Look at him. Look at his shape he's in. They keep saying, he's a threat to democracy. I'm saying, what the hell did I do for democracy? Last week, I took a bullet for democracy. What did I do against democracy? Crazy. The screen up there of me, that's very severe, that comb over. That's a severe sucker. What's with that one? It looks okay from the other side. But that is very severe. I apologize. Man, I looked up there. I said, whoa. Look at that. Wow. That's like a work of art.
This guy's back to 2016 Trump, except, to be honest, it feels a whole lot more wholesome and enthusiastic than ever before. They are so desperate to attack him, even in a moment like this. But once again, their unhinged hysteria, their emotional meltdown is showing. In other words, I don't think they're convincing anyone. They keep telling us how much of a failure the RNC was. Trump's 90-minute speech, I was falling asleep. The man's clearly got dementia. That's essentially what they're saying, but just take a look at this. The RNC wasn't a failure. The RNC was a display of enthusiasm never seen before. And I know that Joy Reid will never admit that, but thankfully she's not the only person at MSNBC, as some of her colleagues are pointing out the clear and obvious.
The Democratic base right now is just entirely lacking for intensity. I mean, when I talk with Democrat elected officials in the battleground states, they tell me the same story over and over and over again. They can't find anybody to come out and volunteer for them to do the sort of work that's necessary in a field operation because there's just no enthusiasm. I mean, we hear all the time about the cliche enthusiasm gap in politics. I've never seen an enthusiasm gap like the one we're witnessing in the summer of this election year. I've heard horror stories from people on the ground in Michigan, in Pennsylvania, in Arizona about just striking out time and time again as local Democratic Party chapters, county chapters, have tried to get people to come in and phone bank, to get mail going, to knock on doors. They can't do it. They can't find people.
We are possibly looking at an unprecedented enthusiasm gap between parties during this presidential election. Quote, this guy essentially said that the RNC is blowing the roof off the building. Meanwhile, the Democrats, well, there's just no energy. And he's not exactly wrong. I mean, you guys saw Trump's most recent event in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Well, that's what's happening at the Trump rally. And meanwhile, at the Joe Biden rally, well, kind of sticking in line with Joe Biden's public image. Joe Biden's rally is looking about as exciting as bingo night at the nursing home. Although, to be fair, bingo night at the nursing home pops off sometimes, which is not something that I think has ever been said about a Biden rally. The fact is, the Democrats are desperately grasping at literally anything. Just like their pathetic, desperate headlines. After the attempt on Donald Trump's life, they tried painting it as something that it wasn't. Trump fell, loud popping noises. They're so desperate to create some sort of negative story around the former president, because the number one goal is to distract from the failing, flailing, falling all over himself current resident of the White House. They want to distract from the disaster that the Biden campaign has been. I mean, for Pete's sakes. The leftist news media is focusing on Donald Trump's supposed failures. They're hitting us with segments like this.
These are the DSM-5 criteria for narcissistic personality disorder. I don't go through these. There's a Jimmy Kimmel monologue on our website and our website that goes through these, and it's pretty funny. That's the reason why he spoke for several hours last night. It's because, he's full of himself. But here's the real issue. He is also a sociopath. Okay? And what's a sociopath? This is the DSM definition. A pervasive pattern of disregard and violation of the rights of others, and you have to have 3 or more of the following. This isn't hard. You don't have to be a shrink. Failure to conform to social norms with respect to lawful behaviors. He's a convicted felon. Deceitfulness. How many lies did he tell last night? 30,000 lies on during his administration. Impulsivity. Hey, let's talk about Hannibal Lecter. Let's buy Greenland. Impulsivity. Irritability and aggressiveness, and including assaults. He raped a woman. He's found by a jury to rape a woman. assaulted many others. Reckless disregard for the safety of the others. Let's say, the January 6th, let the guys through with the magnetometers with the guns. And I can go all the way through it. He's 9 for 9. Well, he's a sick man.
Yeah.
And that's what we're seeing. And I think he's had an advantage over these last couple of years that people have been seeing him. And that now that they're going to see him, they're going to see the guy's in a nut job. And we got to get rid of this double standard, and we have to start talking about this, and that's the point of psychopac.org.
Yeah, that's George Conway giving us his expert psychological analysis and what seems to be an attempt at a clinical diagnosis. You know, that's what they're playing. George Conway read an Abnormal Psychology 101 book, and apparently Donald Trump has every mental illness in the book. That's what they're hitting us with because they don't want you to see this.
Oh, hey, ho, ho! Thank you, Joe, it's time to go. Hey, ho, ho. Thank you, Joe, it's time to go.
They don't want you to see this.
President Biden, you saved democracy in 2020.
Now you have a chance to do it again.
It's time to pass the torch and let us choose a new nominee.
One who can bring new energy, new hope.
And make sure Donald Trump never gets near the White House again.
Our country's future is in your hands.
So please, be the leader we know you are. Pass the torch, Joe.
Pass the torch.
Pass the torch.
Pass the torch.
They don't want you to see the Democrat calls for Joe Biden to resign from his post. They don't want you to know just how bad it really is on their side. And so they play these ridiculous little games. Like the RNC was cringe and a failure. They put Hulk Hogan on that stage. How weird was that?
But what happened last week when they took a shot at my hero? And they tried to kill the next president of the United States. Enough was enough. And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America great again.
Yeah, please don't lecture us on what's cringe when we can pull up clips like this. They're coping, folks. I know a lot of people are watching these clips saying, how could they say this stuff? How could they do this? They're lying, they're showing their bias. But honestly, save yourself from the frustration. Keep your heart and mind in good health. There's no reason to get frustrated. When Democrats are acting this ridiculous, your stress level should honestly diminish. You should be less stressed. These Democrat talking heads right now are doing everything they can to shoot themselves in the foot. Just let them keep talking because clearly what they're saying is at odds with reality, what the people are observing. Trump's speech wasn't a monumental failure. It was fine. He finally toned down years and years of them telling us that Donald Trump's arrogant, rude, he's a megalomaniac. He's so abrasive. Then he calms down and delivers an eloquent speech, and now all of a sudden, he's sleepy and doesn't have it anymore. Give me a break. Everything we're seeing now tells us one thing and one thing only. It tells us that Democrats are losing, and they obviously see that too, and they clearly can't stand that. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.